You've been there before. You know what you need to do, but when it comes time to actually start, your brain just stops. You sit down at your desk, open your laptop, or pick up that long-standing to-do list, and suddenly everything feels heavy, distant, even impossible. The task itself isn't too hard. It's not like you're lacking skill or information. Yet somehow, your brain refuses to cooperate. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. What you're experiencing isn't laziness, a lack of willpower, or failure. It's a very real cognitive phenomenon, and understanding why it happens is the first step toward feeling a little more in control. At its core, this freeze is your brain's way of responding to overload, uncertainty, and perceived stakes. When the mind faces a task that demands planning, prioritizing, or decision-making, it activates what psychologists call executive functions. These are the mental processes that allow you to organize, start, and complete complex tasks. They're like the conductor of an orchestra, ensuring every part of your brain plays in harmony. But when your executive functions are stressed, tired, or overloaded, the conductor can't take the podium. The result is the freeze. You know what to do, but your mind simply won't let you begin. One key reason for this freeze is cognitive overload. Your brain has a limited working memory. Every thought, worry, or distraction competes for this space. When your mind is crowded with emails you haven't answered, meetings you need to prepare for, bills, or personal commitments, even a relatively simple task can feel monumental. You don't consciously notice all the competing thoughts, but your brain does, and it responds by shutting down. Another factor is anticipatory anxiety. When you anticipate the effort, discomfort, or potential failure associated with a task, your brain sometimes preempts action to protect you from negative feelings. Oddly, this feels like procrastination, but it's more like a defense mechanism. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to shield you from perceived stress. For people who experience executive dysfunction or ADHD, this anticipatory freeze is particularly common. Tasks that require planning or sustained attention trigger a kind of neurological friction that makes starting feel impossibly heavy. Interestingly, perfectionism can worsen this freeze. If you feel that your effort must be flawless, your brain may calculate that any attempt is likely to fall short. This isn't about being lazy or unmotivated, it's about risk assessment. Your mind weighs the potential cost of beginning and concludes that stopping is safer than starting. Over time, repeated experiences of freezing can create a feedback loop. The more your brain freezes, the more anxious you become about future tasks, which makes starting even harder. So, how do you respond when this happens? One of the most effective strategies is to shrink the task into an atomic action. Instead of write the report, the first step could be open a blank document, or even write the heading. By reducing the task to a point where the brain perceives minimal risk or effort, you bypass the freeze response. It's not about productivity in the traditional sense. It's about signaling to your executive functions that this task is approachable, safe, and achievable. Another approach is to embrace external scaffolding. When internal planning is overwhelming, external tools can provide structure. This could be a written checklist, a calendar, a timer, or even a sticky note that outlines the first 3 steps of a project. These external cues relieve your brain from holding all the information at once, making starting feel less intimidating. Think of it as leaning on a crutch until your executive functions regain strength. It's also worth noticing the role of emotional regulation. Executive dysfunction isn't purely cognitive, it's deeply emotional. Fear, guilt, and self-criticism amplify the freeze. If, before starting, you spend time telling yourself you should have started earlier, or berating yourself for procrastinating, you're adding fuel to the paralysis. Instead, practicing self-compassion can ease the friction. A simple mental note like, "It's okay that I'm frozen, this is normal," signals safety to your nervous system and allows action to follow. Sometimes, your brain freezes because it lacks clarity about priorities. When every task seems urgent, starting any one task can feel arbitrary or risky. One method to address this is to identify the next logical step, not the entire project. You don't need to plan every possible action. You just need the very next move. For example, if cleaning your room feels overwhelming, the next step might simply be pick up all clothes on the floor. That's it. Your brain will often respond with movement once the next step is defined. Fatigue is another invisible contributor. Executive functions are energy hungry. They rely on mental resources that deplete over the day. If you're tired, stressed, or mentally drained, the freeze becomes much more likely. In these moments, attempting to push through with willpower alone rarely works. Instead, energy management, short breaks, rest, or reducing cognitive load elsewhere can allow your brain to restart. It's important to recognize the difference between task initiation difficulty and procrastination. Procrastination often carries an underlying decision-making process, a conscious choice to delay. Freezing due to executive dysfunction is different. It's involuntary. Your brain wants to start but literally cannot coordinate the steps required. Understanding this distinction can reduce self-blame and allow for more compassionate strategies. Technology can help, but it can also hinder. Distraction and multitasking exacerbate freezing. Phones, notifications, and open tabs fragment attention and worsen executive overload. Paradoxically, using digital tools to organize your work can help if used intentionally. Timers, simple task apps, or notification silencing can create the conditions your brain needs to start. It's not about more information, it's about reducing friction. There's also value in physical anchoring. Some people find that a small ritual, brewing tea, adjusting their chair, or stretching, signals the brain that work time has begun. These micro-behaviors act as cues for executive functioning. They're subtle, but over time, they can train your brain to associate initiation with safety and predictability, reducing freezing. A less obvious but powerful factor is identity and self-perception. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with starting tasks, your brain may unconsciously reinforce this identity. Reframing this narrative, for example, "I sometimes freeze, but I can take small, intentional steps," changes the internal script. Cognitive behavioral research suggests that gentle shifts in self-perception can reduce executive paralysis over time. Finally, understand that freezing is not permanent. The brain is adaptive. Executive functions can strengthen with repeated, structured practice. This doesn't mean forcing yourself into long, grueling sessions. It means practicing starting in microsteps, reducing cognitive load, and giving yourself permission to begin imperfectly. Each small initiation is like a gym session for your executive system, gradually improving your coordination and resilience. So, when your brain freezes, pause without judgment. Recognize the freeze as a signal, not a failure. Ask yourself, what is the smallest, lowest-risk next step I can take? Can I use an external tool to guide me? Can I create a safe, focused environment? Can I acknowledge the emotional weight without letting it stop me? These questions are not tricks. They are practical, psychologically informed ways to reclaim momentum without adding pressure. Over time, you may notice that the freeze becomes less frequent, that the overwhelming weight of starting a task diminishes, that your ability to move, even when tired, anxious, or overloaded, gradually returns. It won't happen overnight, and you'll still encounter freezes. But each small step, each intentional, compassionate initiation, builds your brain's tolerance and coordination. You're capable of starting. Even when it feels impossible, even when your mind resists, you can take the tiniest first step. And that first step, however small, is often all it takes to shift from paralysis to motion. If this resonates with you, and you want to explore more practical ways to navigate executive dysfunction, consider subscribing. This space is about understanding, not pressure. About insight, not hype. Each video is designed to give you tools and perspectives that reduce mental friction and help you reclaim your focus at your own pace. Remember, freezing is not failure. It is a signal. And with awareness, compassion, and structure, you can respond to that signal in ways that allow you to move forward. One small step at a time.